Okay. I used to know a person who sold hats.
Good morning.
Rabbi Galertner, good morning. He used to say, no rain is good for a hat.
That's true. But it's not raining now.
It is raining today.
Yeah, I don't know when I was home, it wasn't raining.
No rain is good for a hat.
No, it was raining. I had to put my doggy's raincoat on. She don't get too wet when she's took out.
Okay, one moment, I have to go down to get a spoon.
S. Yonder. Amachal Slishketas Elam
Morning, Robert.
Good morning, Shasha. What happened? Did everybody forget last night? I said too many l'chayims?
No.
I need to finish packing so that then I could come.
Okay. I have a friend, he makes a lot of jokes. The dorm mother, what's her name? Mrs. Ruddle? Is she Ruddle? So that's either her son or her nephew. He makes a lot of jokes. It runs in the family. So he often has a joke for the parsha. He told me this week that his students, he's a teacher, told them they don't want to hear any more old jokes because all the old ones he already told us. What's the parsha this week? Oh.
Wow.
Do you know what day the Jews left Egypt? When they left Egypt? In the English calendar. On the Jewish calendar, we left Egypt on the 15th of Nisan. When did they leave Egypt in the American calendar? March 4th. Get it?
Yeah, March 4th.
That's his joke, not my joke. I don't take responsibility for his jokes.
Complaints is not here right now.
What?
So I want to complain about the joke.
That's right.
Okay, I see.
Shoshana Hasid.
Here.
Chedra is online. Mrs. Shapiro was here for the Farbrengen. Rachel Chana Tayer is here. Batya is here. Yaira didn't get here yet. Okay. Thank you. Chapter 3. So the 10 aspects of a person's neshama, jumping ahead a little bit, we're going to go ahead and come back. Where do they come from? Everything has a spiritual source. Nothing could exist without a spiritual source that gives it its life, right? So we have a spiritual source for creation, which is within Hashem. Hashem created this within himself. And we said it subdivides into two parts, which we could call head and heart. Head is Chabad, Chachma Bina Das. Chabad is called mothers because mothers have children. And according to your Chabad, so you're going to have, according to the makeup of your mind, so you will have middos. What are middos? Middos are the drivers in your character that make you do things. The first of all middos is kindness, love, loving kindness. That you love a thing and you want to do an act of kindness because of that. That's called chesed. And we learn this is called the 7 days of creation. So we have 3 mothers and the 7 days of creation. What happened? What's going on with these 7 days of creation? If Hashem made 7 days of creation, that means that all our creative powers, abilities are going to follow the same structure of 7, sevenfold, corresponding to the 7 days of the week. And the first day of the week is called Sunday. The name is significant. It's the day that people worship the sun.
It's not like because they had little, when you could buy stuff, no? It's like every
Sunday market.
Yeah, thank you.
They worship the sun because they saw that when the sun shone, things would grow. And the sun is healthy for people in the right doses. Not too much. But generally, it gives people life and energy. And it's a source of life. So people worshiped it. So they called it Sunday in many different languages. I don't know the etymological root of the word dimanche, which is French for Sunday. Maybe it means God's day. I don't know. Then we got up yesterday to the 2nd day of creation, which is the separation of the waters. Well, that's like a policeman at the roundabout. He's directing traffic. You stop, you go. That's strength. Strength limits things. So Hashem wants to shine his light infinitely, comes the opposite power and says, hold on. Everything needs to have a measure. You burn up the whole world. Too much good. A little, there's an old saying, a little power to limit and to analyze and compare and understand and apply the knowledge that you've acquired. That's the left side of the brain. That's Bina, the organizational power. Time management is in Bina. Ideas are in Chachma. Chachma is the potential. It's compared to a flash of lightning. It's sudden, it's powerful, it's bright, and when you go to look at it, it's gone. So how do you hold on to it? You can't hold on to it, but you try and remember what it was and get it down on paper. That's Bina. So that together they're like a husband and a wife, father and mother. These are the basic qualities on the intellectual level. And then there's application. Application is connected with knowledge. Knowledge is in the back of the brain, and that is the passageway to the heart. We saw yesterday this extraordinary thing that the back of the heart, back of the brain, the neck, back of the brain where the neck, that brain hits the neck is called the oref. So the Jewish people are called stiff-necked people, kshei oref. In other words, they stick to their ideas. You can't break them. Stiff-necked, stubborn people. Well, stubbornness can be not a good quality,
But it can be positive.
but it can be a very powerful quality that has enabled us to survive the persecutions of thousands of years and hundreds of different nations who tried to wipe us out. So this is in the oref, the back. That's the passage to India by which our thoughts get into our heart. They go down physically. They go down the backbone, down the spinal cord to your heart. That's how your mind communicates with your heart. So then we saw yesterday that if you take the word for oref, the three letters, it's a three-letter word, ayin, resh, fei, and the end of fei, is oref, okay? Let's turn the letters around. We'll start with the fei. I mean, you end up with Pharaoh. What does Pharaoh say? He says, I'm not going to let you out. I'm going to keep you here forever. And I told you that story about Kanelsky, that the lady said to him, you're going to die in Russia. We're not letting you out. But the Rebbe came from a higher source and they got their visa and they came out. Baruch Hashem. Very interesting what happened to him. He came here to New York. He didn't speak English yet. Friday, the boys of the yeshiva went out looking for someone to put on tefillin with. And he went with them. And he got lost. He didn't know his way back to the yeshiva. He didn't speak English. And he saw there were some boys, a group of boys and girls talking Russian. Oh! He went over and he spoke to them and they gave him directions. And he knew this is a place where I can come and do mitzvahim. And so he did. He started going there every week and doing mitzvahs with these Russian kids. I call them Russian kids. I knew somebody who got very angry. It was called Russian. He says, in Russia, I was called a Jew. I came here and I'm called a Russian. Didn't like it. So he went back there. He was still a teenager, and he was at a Farbrengen, and the Rebbe called him up to take mashka for his shlichus with the Russian children in New Jersey. And that's how he became a shlich when he was still a teenager. And he works with, his organization is called Bris Avraham, because he's given a bris to thousands of people, hundreds of weddings. Does a great job. Okay, so that's the second day, is separating the waters into lower waters and higher waters. The third day, on the first day, says Hashem saw the light that it was good, and he blessed the day. The second day, the act of separation, Hashem didn't say is good. This is the source, girls. This power is the source of all fights, disagreements, rebellion. It's all rooted in the second day. The third day brings peace. So the third day harmonizes these two elements. So the work of the second day continues, and the water not only gets separated, but it recedes. The water now recedes. It is forced down, and the water goes down, and the land appears. And now the element of the first day is blessing, sun, blessing. So now the land is blessed and things begin to grow. So Hashem saw that the land appeared and that was good. And he saw that things were growing and that was good. So Tuesday is a doubly good day. Doubly good. It's a day that has double good. Double good means good for people, good for heaven. Good for things that you're involved with in the world, and good for the way you serve Hashem. Tuesday. So this becomes a triad of 3 days. Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes corresponds to the 3 fathers of the Jewish people. Avraham is the epitome of kindness. He taught people about God. How did he do it? Bati, you know the story? You're the big one with stories. How did Avraham teach people about God?
By bringing food on the table.
By
bringing food on the table and doing a compliment.
That's right. By serving them food. He had a restaurant. He had an inn in the desert. So people were tired and weary. They could come to his inn and take a shower, take a swim. If they were business people, he had a court. He could settle their disputes. He planted an orchard, not just for food, even for pleasure. It was a complete service in. And then he would say to them, now that I served you all this food, they would say, thank you. And he would say, don't thank me, thank Hashem. They said, who's this Hashem? I never heard of that. What do you mean? You think I made all this food? I didn't make this food. Hashem made the food. You have to thank. Hashem is the creator of the heavens and the earth. And he said, I don't believe in all that. He said, okay, so here's the bill for what I gave you. And it was a very high bill. They said, why so much? He said, well, look around. Where else are you going to get a meal around here? You want a kosher meal? It's not available. So they said, well, who is this Hashem you were talking about? And that way he taught them about Hashem. And he made everybody aware. You stop at Avram's inn, the first Chabad house in history, and he taught them about God. Through his kindness. Comes Yitzchak. This week's Parsha is all about Yitzchak. What did Yitzchak do? Yitzchak dug wells. That's hard work. When Avram served his guests, he was very happy. They were very happy. Everyone was happy. Yitzchak dug wells. The police team, who were nasty people then, and they're nasty people now, they came and stopped up the wells with mud and stones. How do you think he felt? How would you feel if you dug a well? Hard work. Now people have water to drink in the hot wilderness. And these people come and they destroy the well. They break it down and they fill it in with mud and stones, all that hard work. That's so terrible. What did Yitzchak do? He dug it again. He dug it again. Then they argued. And they said, why are you digging this well? Our enemies will come and they'll drink from this well and they will attack us. He said, that's not my business. My business is people should have water to drink. And they said, well, this is our well. We used it for our sheep. We use it all the time. He said, but I dug it. It's my well. Prove it. So he proved it. How did he prove it? Every time he went to the well, the water rose up, which it didn't do for anybody else. Rose up to greet him. Where do we see a similar thing like that? When Rivka, when Eliezer came to get a wife for Yitzchak, he also went to a well. And when he saw that Rivka came to the well, the water rose up to greet her. She said, this is the girl. And when Batya went, there you go, Batya. When Batya went to convert, to take on herself belief in the one invisible God, the water also rose for her. So everybody saw that the Yitzchak owned the well. And this has symbolic overtones because you can be makar of somebody, you can teach people about Judaism by taking them into your home and showering them with kindness and good food. But there's a certain point at which you have to lay down the line that there are limits. Like a friend of mine, Rabbi Lou in London, told me one time, so he had a guest over for Shabbos, and the guest went to light up a cigarette on Shabbos. He says, wait a minute, I'm not up to that level yet. I'm not ready for this. That's Gevura. You have to tell the guy, no, it's not everything you can do. And with some people, no matter how much you do, you don't turn them on. They just stay cold. And to warm them up, you have to get deep into their character. That's the idea of Yitzchak, who dug wells. The idea is that underneath the dry, arid earth, there's living springs of water. So in the heart of every Jew, there are living springs of love of God and fear of God. We have to tap into them. I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine was a businessman. I met him when I lived in England. He was brought up religious. He fought in the Second World War. And he couldn't keep Torah and mitzvahs fighting in the war. And he dropped it all. And he became not observant. And he became successful in business after the war. And he fell ill. His father was very religious. And his father met a chassid in the street and gave him £5, a £5 note for a bracha for his son to feel better. The chassid was ecstatic. £5 was a lot of money. Like in those days, $500. I mean, go back 70, 80 years. He was very, very excited. So he decided to go and meet this son. He came and he met him, and he was not religious. So when the rabbi walked in, he buried his head in the pillow so he wouldn't see he didn't have a yarmulke on. He was so embarrassed. He was brought up from. And he began learning Tanya with him, and that won him over. And he came to see the Rebbe, and he fell in love with the Rebbe. And the Rebbe began to use him for all kinds of jobs, shlichusim. And the Rebbe would send him to visit communities and to encourage them in their mitzvahs before there was a shliach who went there. To all the Balkan countries, to Germany, to Vienna, to Spain and Portugal, all these places. The Rebbe sent him as a shliach to all these places. Before there was a shliach there, Denmark, Mr. Glick. You were a remarkable person. And he wanted his wife, she'd survived the war. I don't know if she was in a concentration camp or not. I never saw numbers on her arm. But it could be she was in hiding and she lost all her family. And he wanted her to share his feelings for the Rebbe. And so one time she agreed to come with him to see the Rebbe, and they had Yechidus, and he was so excited. And her name was Natalie. And he said, well, Nat, what do you think? She said, well, I don't know. He says, what? You don't feel, you're not excited or anything? No, she says, I feel cold. And she was a very quiet person, but she was tough. She was tough. She was strong-minded. She said very quietly, I'd like to speak to the Rebbe again. He said, you can't speak to the Rebbe again. There's so many people. And the secretaries, they just want to keep people away from the Rebbe because he'll be here all night. Still, she said, maybe you could ask Rabbi Groner. He had no choice. He went and asked Rabbi Groner. Rabbi Groner growled and said, well, he'll ask if she could come in again. And so the Rebbe said, yeah, send her in without her husband. So she went and the Rebbe said, what's the matter? She said, I'm sorry to trouble you, Rebbe, but I feel cold. So Rebbe said, do you give tzedakah every day? She said, yes. We give a lot of tzedakah every day because they became wealthy and people used to come to them from all over and they would give people some biscuits and a cup of tea, and Mr. Glick would sit down with them and talk to them about the work that they were doing. They were very nice, really, really very, very kind people. And she said, yes, I give a lot of tzedakah every day. And the Rebbe said, I didn't ask you how much you give. I just asked you if you give. And she said, yes, Rebbe. He said, do you think you could do me a favor? She said, what's that, Rebbe? He said, when you give tzedakah, what do you think about? She says, I think about, I'm helping out another person. So the Rebbe said, good. Do you think you could do me a favor? When you give tzedakah, doesn't matter how much or how little, just to think that you're doing a mitzvah of Hashem. And she said, yes, Rebbe, I think I could do that. And he gave her a bracha. And she came out, and her husband was waiting for her. And he said, well, no, how do you feel now? She said, I feel warm. She told me the story herself. And she said, it didn't take, David Shalom, she said, it didn't take 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, my heart opened up with a tremendous love of Hashem. What's the key to this story? I think the key to the story is that he got her to think about Hashem, but also he broke through. When she said, I give a lot every day, Rebbe said, I didn't ask you how much you give. And therefore, he broke the position that she was setting up for herself. Like, she didn't understand him. So now that made her receptive to what he had to say. So then he said, would you do me a favor? So she said, yeah, what is it? And so whatever he said, she was willing to listen to. And that was the key. She felt cold because she was so busy keeping the cruel world away from her. And that's why she couldn't feel anything for Hashem. He broke that with that simple statement, I didn't ask you how much you give. That like destroyed her position. Very subtle, so subtle. How the Rebbe related to her exactly on her level. That's the story. Okay. So we have these three things working together, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, and we have them replicated in the three fathers of the Jewish people. Avraham is the epitome of Chesed. Yitzchak, the well digger, is the epitome of Gevurah, strength. What do we learn from Yitzchak? Never give up. You have opposition, they come and destroy your work. They don't want to let you succeed. A young shliach goes to a community. How many times it happened? There are 5,000 shluchim. I guarantee 4,000 times the shliach showed up and somebody from the community said, we don't need you here. We don't need you. What are you doing here? What'd you come for? And you meet with discouragement and you persevere. The shluchim don't go home. They stick it out and they succeed. That's Gevurah, that's Yitzchak. And then there's Tiferes. Tiferes goes on Yaakov. Yaakov sat and learned Torah. The third element combines both the chesed of Abraham and the strength of Yitzchak. In Yaakov, Yaakov had to fight his brother Esav all his life. That's Gevurah. And he learned Torah with such tremendous sincerity. Everything he did was the epitome of Torah and honesty. So that we have this triad of midas. And then we do it again. On a lower level yet, we apply this now to the physical world. So just like we had the light created on the first day, so on the fourth day, we have now the sun and the moon and the stars in the heavens. And just like on the second day, we had the separation of the waters. So now on the fifth day, we have all the life, blessings for life in the waters teeming with fish, and the skies full of birds, the water, lower waters, and the higher waters, the fish and the birds. And the sixth day is animals and people. And the seventh day, all the work is done. Everything is ready now for Shabbos. These 7 qualities are the 7 motivational qualities in your character. And we understand what they are from the 7 days of the week. Because when Hashem created the first quality, chesed, so there was light. When he created the second quality, which was gevurah, the waters separated. With each quality, he did the things by shining his light into that quality, so the things happened accordingly. Like if you have a light and you have a number of glasses, and you shine the light in the yellow glass, it's going to look yellow. And you shine the light in the blue glass, it's going to look blue. And you shine the light in the orange glass, it's going to look orange. So it's the same light, but the vessels determine how the light is going to be perceived in the world. That's how it works with the midas. Hashem created these midas, and with these midas we serve Hashem. This is how our character expresses itself, through these 10 qualities, 3 of them in the brain and 7 of them in the heart. So that's what it says here on page 66. These 2 categories are 3 mothers, which is Chabad, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, and 7 doubles. Why are they called doubles? The midas are called doubles. Why are they called doubles? Because they get together. They get together with each other, so that you can have Gevurah together with Chesed. And you can have Chesed together with Gevurah. And you can have both of them together with Tiferes. They come together. How do they come together? Because they're not threatened by each other. They work together, so they're called doubles. Kafules. At an earlier stage of creation, these midas were first created, but they were created with such strength and such power that each one was intolerant of any other. Each one said, I am the way to serve God. You have to serve God with chesed. And Gevurah said, no, you have to serve God with Gevurah. And Tiferes said, no, you have to serve God with Tiferes. And each one was entirely self-centered. And so therefore, it didn't last. When you have powerful people like that in the same organization, it doesn't work. Things are going to fall apart. So things fall apart, and that's called the breaking of the vessels, and the sparks go tumbling down into the world, and our job is to redeem them. But we needed to get to a level of stability. And stability is the next level down. And on this level down, the light is not so intense, and the vessels are stronger, more capacious. They can take more, so it's stable. And with these stable vessels, we do Torah and mitzvahs. Have a great Shabbos. One word
Shabbos.
to the Shabbos
Thank
table. In this story, Yaakov has to go to his father to get the brachas. His father is going to pass away. He's preparing to leave the world. And he wants to give over the brachas that were given to him, to his son. He thinks he wants to give it to Esau, because that's his firstborn son. And his wife knows that Esau, that would be a disaster. The brachas have to go to the younger son, Yaakov. So she tells Yaakov, I'm going to prepare the food that your father wants, and you go. He says, but I'm a hairy man. My father is going to feel that I'm smooth. I'm a smooth man, and Esau is a hairy man. He's going to feel the difference. He's going to see I'm trying to fool him and steal, and he's going to curse me. She says, on me, the curse should be the curse on me. He gave he gasped. He didn't want his mother to be cursed. But he realized she was ready to give up her life, but to make sure that the blessings from Abraham, which she gave to Yitzchak, should go to Yaakov and not to Esau. And for this, she was ready to die. And since his mother was ready to die for this, this gave him the courage to go and try and pull this one over and get the brachas from Esau. Esau, when he came back from the fields and found out that the brachas had been given to Yaakov, he hated him with an enduring hatred that lasts to the present day. And that's the story. But the point is, there are certain things in life that Rivka knows best. You have to have self-sacrifice for them. When the Friediger Rebbe was in Russia, and the Lev Sektia, the Jewish division of the Communist Party, was destroyed, determined to destroy Yiddishkeit, he took 9 Bachrim, and he was the 10th. They made a minyan, and they swore to go on self-sacrifice for Torah and Yiddishkeit. And they all did it. Every single one of those 10 people gave their lives for Hashem and for Torah and Yiddishkeit, and that's why Torah survived in Russia under communism. Because there are certain things that need self-sacrifice. And now we've come to a stage where it's Mashiach. For us to bring Mashiach needs something greater than normal, and that's self-sacrifice.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.